Hi, welcome to A Job of Choice After Law School, the video series. In this series, we're going to pose some interview questions and then we'll answer them. If you like what you see, please go to our website where you can read a whole lot more about getting a job of choice after law school.
Assuming we offered you a job, how would you prioritise your working day? This is a meaty question, I think. How would you handle a question like this?
I agree, it is. And it's not a question sort of literally about your working practices or about how you meet work targets. It's quite a bit more subtle than that. I think this one's a question that tests your appreciation of a lawyer's life, your willingness to strategise to meet deadlines. And, prioritising is tricky for junior lawyers at the best of times. It's really going to be unrealistic to expect that your work is going to get a tick without multiple rounds of review and amendment between you and your immediate supervisor, maybe a senior associate. There'll be backwards and forwards to get it right. And then even then, when it gets to the partner, they might completely disagree with what the senior associate, the tack the senior associate's taken or how they've instructed you. And your work of art returns with a mass of corrections. It's all very time consuming and quite unpredictable.
So what would you do about this?
Well, for a start, don't be demoralised. Work is intentionally allocated to junior lawyers to develop your skills, and you are actually expected to be wrong. Try not to be aggrieved because, say, your supervising lawyer has preferred their own words to yours. They're likely to have done that quite sort of thoughtfully in trying to give best effect to their strategy. But also sometimes a supervising lawyer can be unreasonably pedantic, they can be a bit indecisive, maybe overbearing, or quite sort of obscure in how they explain the issue that they need help with. And learning to accommodate different styles and to facilitate difficult people, that is all part of the job.
Anything else?
Well, I think another factor is just realising you are the most junior person in the place, and depending on the size of the firm, there'll be all these layers above you, perhaps many levels of second, third, fourth year lawyers, senior associates or managing associates, maybe some consultants, and then finally the partners. So all these layers mean your work can definitely be and probably will be held up by someone above you who has their own priorities and probably distractions. So you're sort of faced with this question, do you work around that blockage and potentially end up embarrassing the person the senior associate who's been holding things up? Or do you not and then incur the wrath of the partner from whom the assignment originated? I mean, it really is a case-by-case problem. And then finally, I think you've got to realise your priorities can be really readily overruled by someone further up the pecking order. Maybe your partner needs someone to go to court unexpectedly and there's no one else, or they need someone to accompany them to a meeting and you fit the bill. But right at the same time, you've just been asked by a senior associate to draft an urgent letter in the next hour. I mean, all these problems affect your capacity to plan the day and sometimes completely upend your priorities. And then sort of to compound it, you're the most junior person with little capacity to say no to demands or to complain if your work's not reviewed in a timely way.
Why don't we have a look at how a student handled this question?
Assuming we offered you a job, how would you prioritise your working day?
Let me start by saying that I believe order is important to any legal practice, but even more so with somebody starting out. Senior lawyers sometimes don't realise the amount of work to which you're committed because you'll be working for multiple partners and senior lawyers. So to partially overcome this, I would keep a daily running sheet on my desk with the matters I'm responsible for, the time for when they're due, and my estimated time of completion for each assignment. The idea is that everybody asking me to do their work can see at a glance my capacity, and it enables them to reset my priorities, assuming, of course, they have the authority to do so. But I think this is only part of the answer because, prioritising a day implies that you have some sort of control over that day. And in my, granted, small experience, that is very untrue. Emergencies are normal, and you have to remain flexible. You have to. And you're employed to help, not to be rigid about your timetable. So I think that the onus is on you to self-advocate, to negotiate, to inform, and to explain why accepting a piece of work will mean that you're unable to deliver a previous assignment on time. And the last part of my answer is about promises. I appreciate that when you take on an assignment, you're promising to deliver a correct answer that is intelligible and within a specific time frame. I also understand that keeping my promises is very important to my reputation in a firm. And that being said, situations do arise where you have competing promises which just aren't reconcilable. So in that case, I would do everything possible to do both jobs, including working all hours. And as soon as I realized that a promise couldn't be met, I would tell the work originator immediately and try to find some workaround.